Alright, so I figured I'd make another video on this subject. It's about body filler, and I'm just going to go over kind of the history of body filler, things that I've learned over the years. You know, I've been doing my own body and paint for many years, and I did it professionally in my first few years of life, and I kind of got out of it because of you know, the whole changing thing that was going on at that time. They were VOC and everything, and they just got it all messed up. So I just decided to do something else. Got into painting buildings, and I do signs, which is very similar to painting automotive. So body filler. Let's go back to the old days, the history first, and then we'll go into what's happening now. The old days, body filler was pretty much it. They had gold stuff. They had stuff that was pink. You know, they had whatever. They had green filler. And you know what? It didn't matter which one you got. It was all the same. You had to, you know, grind everything down to bare metal, and you had to put the stuff on, and it all sanded about the same, but it just looked different. And you know, so back in the old days, it was body fillers, body fillers, body filler. You could use bondo, you could use anything. And it was basically the same stuff. It is not the same now. It is totally different. Every filler is totally different. They've learned how to formulate. So back in the old days, one of the things we did, they came out with in the 80s, it was around the late 80s, they came out with something called, it's very similar to this product here. It was called polyester putty. And polyester putty was designed actually to be put over primer and paint. So you could sand an area of your paint and put it over put the filler over the paint, and it was you know, for really, you know, not so deep fills, and that was a cool product to have. You know, back in the old days, this is polyester glazing putty. This is a similar one. I don't use this product anymore because it's too slow to sand compared to the others. But I'm just showing you they have this like at you know, O'Reilly Auto Parts and stuff like that. If you're limited on resources where you can buy it, you can use this stuff. It sands and goes over paint, you know, and fills. You can fill small dents and scratches and stuff like that. It works really well for that. And then, so over the years, they came out with better products, and in recent years they've got products that even will adhere to wood. Now, a lot of places think that all the fillers are like that. And I'll tell you, you got to read the label. Number one, read the label on the product. Go get the data sheets online and actually read them and find out what the product you want to buy does. Because, like, somebody will tell me that this product will stick to wood. I can't find anywhere it'll stick to wood. I can't find any spec on that. This product right here, the AG47, actually specs to stick to wood because it has this Z-Tech adhesion booster. So it has an adhesion booster, and that's something that's similar to Evercoat's Z-Grip, they say. But I read the Z-Grip's data sheets, and it does not say it'll stick to wood. It does not say it will stick to sanded paint. It does not say that it will stick to E-coat and all that stuff. Okay, or it does. It says on the label it'll stick to sanded E-coat, but it doesn't say that it'll stick, you know, to some of the things that people are putting it on. So definitely, number one, read the label. Okay, you gotta read those data sheets, and sometimes it says on the label one thing, and on the data sheet it'll say something else. So I go by the data sheets that are online that you can pull up from the companies, and then, you know, you go from there. So that's just the old school 101. Always read the data sheets. Spend the time to do it. It's worth it. Okay, so over the years they've changed a couple things. They came out with, you know, the Rage and stuff like that. And Rage is pretty expensive. It's like $58 or $60 a gallon. They have Rage Gold. They have, you know, all these really expensive products, and all of us want a product that sands like those, because the thing that's really cool about those really high-end products, and you know, I have 3M ones. I have never used it, but there's a 3M one that's similar to that, and all those sand like super fast. They sand like drywall mud, right? And that's what guys will tell you. Saying sand like drywall mud, man, it sands so fast compared to the old fillers that we used to use back in the old days. So what I found over the years of playing around with stuff is I figured out the ones that are cheaper that sand good and fast like Rage does, and the one that I like the best out of all of these is this one. It doesn't sand quite as fast as this one. So if you're doing fillers over bare metal, and you've got you know, a whole bunch of big large body work to do, this Automotive Art Eurofill Gold sands super fast. Now the disadvantages of it that I found from using it, quite a bit of it, used about 3 or 4 gallons of it, 3 gallons, about 3 or 4 I guess, is that it does, when you spread it, it doesn't spread quite as smooth as this one, okay, and which is an important thing on some things. And it does pinhole a bit. So you'll find some of them pinhole, some don't. I found that the USC AG47 has a happy medium. It doesn't like to pinhole. I rarely ever have pinholes in it, and it sands really, really fast. So it sands and it shapes really good. So you want to be able to sand something and have it shape the right way, you know, that's important too. When you use the old fillers, you'd sand them and it was like no matter what, it would kind of want to go another shape, so you had to use a really, really coarse sandpaper. Where these newer fillers, you can use a finer, even like 150 or even 180, and you can sand them and they'll feather and still shape well. Where you used to on the old fillers, if your sandpaper was just a hair dull or something like that, or if you know, it just would wash it out. You couldn't get the filler to shape. These fillers all shape way better than the old things. And now I've tried all of the Evercoat products. I was an Evercoat guy. I used to use Evercoat for everything, and I've compared Evercoat AG, or not their AG, what's it called? Z-Grip. I've compared their Z-Grip to USC AG47. I've used both of them side by side, and USC AG47 sands faster, easier, has less pinholes, and it has a higher adhesion rate than the other. So, you know, I just stopped using it because it was not as good as USC, and it was hard for me to change to do that, you know, because I was always Evercoat. I used to Evercoat all the time. That's all I used, Evercoat on everything. And I've used anything from Evercoat's one that just says on it filler, you know, all the way up to, you know, I have never used a Rage because it's just too expensive. But, you know, I've used them up to the Gold, and the Gold didn't sand. It sanded a little bit faster when it was fresh. And you know, then the Z-Grip, but after, if you like put filler on, you came back the next day, it was hard as a rock, wouldn't sand. Now the thing I like, okay, Eurofill Gold, it likes to be sanded the same day. So you put it on, you want to sand it, you know, make sure you sand it before you go home or whatever, before you quit, because the next day it's going to be quite a bit harder to sand. It's still pretty easy to sand, but it's a lot harder to sand. USC AG47 doesn't care. I think I can put it on and sand it the same day, or I can sand it the next day. It still sands about the same. Now, there's another couple things to add in here. One of the things I found is people say, well, if I get the cheap filler and I add honey to it, it'll be just like one of these. No, it's got to be the stuff that's in it. I mean, yeah, it might make it spread better. It makes it go down smoother. Like if I added honey to this, it might help it, make it less pinholes in it. But then I'm adding all that extra money into the filler, and I might as well just buy the Rage or something. Or I can just buy this product, and it pretty much goes down smoother, and just a hair difference in sanding. Not much. It's very almost the same. So compared this product to Z-Grip, to gold, Evercoat Gold, to Evercoat's cheap filler, I find it well superior to those products. I find it to be sand faster, so sand adhesion's better, and all this stuff. So, I mean, there's really no comparison, really. There's no, I mean, I say it was substantially different, substantially better. It's similar. I say it's kind of similar to Z-Grip, but it's on another level. It's way easier to sand. It actually, the adhesion on the data sheets is way better. It says it'll stick to sanded paint, it'll stick to sanded primer, it'll stick to wood. You know, that's according to their data sheets. So if they say it's going to stick to wood, it's got to be pretty good adhesion. And most fillers, you got to really watch it. And that's one of the things I tell people. Look, you know, a lot of guys will put them over. They'll put all of them over paint. So if it does not spec that it can go over that stuff, and it better be sanded, you better sand the hell out of it and make sure it sticks. It's always best to put filler over bare metal. You know, people put it over epoxy primer. You know, epoxy primer can be kind of slick. And, you know, if you don't really sand it really good and then it's open, so now the filler's the surface is open. So what's the difference in going there to bare metal? I would always go to bare metal versus going over epoxy primer, because the epoxy primer can be kind of slick, you know, slicked on the surface. And, you know, it depends on which one you're using. But I would always go to bare metal over that, you know, just because I want to make sure that the filler is adhering. So if your filler is not adhering, what is the next thing that's going to happen usually is cracking. So that's where people go, oh, well, filler cracks. Well, no, it cracks because it wasn't applied correctly. So that's usually the problem with filler. And if it's on bare metal and it's on a non-stress panel, then it'll probably adhere really well. Now, there's other things to look at fillers today. So some of the new fillers will have added flexibility. Where the old fillers years ago, if there was any flexibility in the panel, then you would have cracking issues. So one of the things that they also have in the USC is it has high stress flexibility. So does this one. So there is a degree of flexibility that the panel can have, and the filler would still adhere. Now, I have not tried some of the U-Pole products. I heard that they have really good flexibility and some good sanding. I don't know. I don't have data on those. You might want to check the comments below. I know some guys use it and see what they say. The other thing is glazing. So you got filler for your fine stuff, for your filling. You almost don't need glazing with this product, but if it's nice to have it. And the glazing that I've been using now is this one here, and it's really pretty thin. I heard that U-Pole has that one. I think it's called Dolphin Glaze. I've never used it, but I've heard about it. It actually is supposed to have similar properties to this. It sands really easy, and this sands super easy. This sands a little bit faster, and that's what you want. You want your glazing to sand a little bit faster than your filler. This one sands a little bit faster than this. So on the fine stuff, I'll use this, okay, the smaller stuff over primer and stuff like that. But what I'll do if I have a little bit too thick of a fill, now this isn't recommended by anybody, but this product and this product have really high adhesion rates, right? So I will take a little bit of the USC AG47 and add it to this. So I'll take a little bit, stir it up, and use it. The USC AG47 is spec to go over even primer. It could be used as a glazing. So I actually mix them together, and it actually works pretty good. I have no issues with the edges. If you watch where it feathers in, where you can have that little bit of a chippy edge, if that's happening, then for sure you're going to have an adhesion problem. You're probably going to have cracking. You have all kinds of stuff like that. So I check all those things, and it seems to be working okay for me. That's up to you. If you wanted to try it, take your own risk. I'm not doing what the label says when I'm doing that, but it does work for me. And they do have similar properties, and that's the only reason I do it. I won't add this one to that because it does not have the same properties. It doesn't spec to go over wood, painted surfaces. that are sanded, you know, they say factory paint, but that's because they know that factory paint was adhering correctly. So you could put it over paint, but it needs to be sanded and needs to know that that coat's adhering to the coats underneath it. So those are just basic, you know, use your head. You know, don't do anything that you don't think, you know, makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, you know, think it over again and figure out the right way to do it, you know. So anyway, that's just a little bit about filler and a couple ideas there for you guys. Again, my videos that I had on this were not tagged correctly, so I wanted to make a new one. And I'll leave the other ones up, of course, but because they do give you some information, but I thought I'd make a new one just to kind of help people find better information. If you're looking for something that you don't want to pay, you don't want to pay as much for, you don't want to pay for the Rage, but you want something that sands similar, I do like I did to just start going to AG47. They do have it at a place in Riverside on the corner of Buchanan and Magnolia, and they sell it there at that place. A lot of the places don't sell it around here. I don't know why, but you know, it's actually, and I tried to get a sponsorship from USC. No luck. If you're USC, you might want to send me a email, and maybe we can do sponsorship, because you know, if you want me to promote your products a lot, I'd appreciate, you know, getting something from you for, you know, like some free product maybe. That's all I ask for. I don't need money or anything else. Just give me free product. You know, that'd be nice. And I'd be happy to use it and try it and, you know, review it, because I think it's really good. And like I said, you know, I don't see anybody else. I tried to contact them, try to contact you guys about that, and I got zeroed out by your region person for this area. But that was also during COVID-19. So who knows? All right. Have them contact me. Be great if I could get some sponsorship on that. Talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.